Greetings, my name is Emery. Join me as we talk about my journey through photography, why I got into it, what it's done for me, and how it's impacted my life. We'll also talk about how I've used it to impact the lives of others. We'll talk about tips and tricks and how-tos, and we'll even talk about the gear that I use. This is Photography, My Story. Hey, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Well, here we are. Photography, My Story. And here we are with episode 1. And I thought I'd start with episode 1 from where else? The beginning. So let's start with day 1. Well, you know, my story for this, and we'll get into some of the gear that we use as well along the way, but I think it's important that you hear the story so you understand where I'm coming from and why I do what I do. Now, most of you are probably wondering what kind of camera I use or what have you. You can see I have a few. Here's an old Fuji and an old Canon 35 millimeter. Here's a Chinese version of the Fuji. So I have a bunch of different types of cameras that I use, and but none of that matters because for day 1, it started with, guess what? A phone. It doesn't matter what kind of phone you use. This is an Android and this is an iPhone. My story starts with an iPhone, actually. You see, I'm a 100% disabled veteran, and there came a time where they, due to a brain injury, that they took my driver's license and medically suspended them. So this put me in a kind of a dark place, you know. Here I am. I feel like I'm a young man and can still do the things that I'm normally doing, and now you tell me that I can't work the work that I know how to do, and I can't drive anymore due to seizures or whatever. So that kind of put me in a dark place, and fortunately I didn't stay there long. Next thing I know, I found myself at a local establishment that was having a photography gallery show for local artists, and each artist got a wall within this building, and so there were multiple artists there. And I remember walking in there and looking at the different photos hanging on the wall and talking to the different photographers that were there. And I remember seeing this one photograph, and it was a picture of downtown Montgomery. And it was a beautiful picture. It was taken from, there's a monument downtown, and the picture was taken from behind a monument, and the city street was foggy, and you could barely make out the street lights, and there was no traffic on the road. It was a beautiful picture, and it was the statue of Hank Williams. And I remember thinking, oh, my dad would love this photograph. And so I asked the photographer, how much do you want for this photograph in this frame? And the photographer looked at me and said, $250. And I went, $250? I mean, it wasn't much bigger than an 8x10. And I'm like, wow, that's a little deep for my pockets for this birthday or Christmas gift. So, I moved on, and here's a picture of an old train on the wall. And me and my father happened to like trains, and I said, how much for this picture? And the photographer said, I'll take $60 for that framed print and $10 for just the print. And I began to thinking and looking at the picture, wondered if I could do that. Because I found myself in a place where I needed something to do or a new hobby or whatever, I decided, let me see what I can do with this. So what I did was I packed a backpack with some snacks and some water to drink, and I loaded up my iPhone. I had this brand new case that I had gotten for my phone where you could screw on different lenses. I had another thought for my phone at the time, and this case was actually designed to use underwater, but I decided to use it anyway. So I loaded up my iPhone, and this isn't the original iPhone. I think back then it was a iPhone 6 that I used, but this one, as you can see, has been well used as well. But anyway, so I got on the city bus and I rode downtown, and I spent all day walking around and taking photographs. And on my way back home, I spent all day doing this too, and I rather enjoyed myself that first time out, and not knowing what the future was going to have for me. So on the way back, I remember thinking, what am I going to do with all these pictures? Put them on a thumb drive. I'm going to lose a thumb drive. Put them on a computer. I didn't really have, I think I had a laptop at the time or something like that. So I decided to get an Instagram, and I thought, with Instagram, it'd be a great place. I could store the photos that I take for free, and I wouldn't lose them. I didn't really think about, sharing them so much as just having a place to store them. And that was just, me thinking off the cuff. And notice the link below for the Instagram. Also, So I decided to start a Facebook and dedicated towards photography, and so I have a place to post those pictures. So that's kind of where the story begins. And I started out with nothing more than a phone. And let me tell you something, it doesn't matter what you're doing, what kind of camera you have. I don't care if it's an entry level. I don't care if it's a professional camera. It doesn't matter if it's Canon. It doesn't matter if it's Sony. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's an Android. It doesn't matter if it's an iPhone. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't care if it's you found you buy storage units and you found a box full of those old disposable waterproof cameras, with film still in them. It doesn't even matter if it's that. Just get out and take the pictures. What I have found in my travels with artists of different types, I don't care if you're a photographer, if you draw, paint, music, whatever, it makes no difference. People who are creative and don't have an outlet for their creativity, it seems to affect them, and they don't seem to be as happy, go lucky as they typically would be. So my advice to them is always, look, get back to your art. Find some time, make some time, and do something with your art, because that always seems to do something for them. And to be honest with you, it's a twofold process. It not only does something for you, it does something for them, and which kind of goes into people who enjoy your art, and some of the lessons that I've learned along through there, because I've been blessed, with some opportunities, and I remember the first opportunity that I got actually came from Instagram, and somebody contacted me on Instagram and said that offered me a job as a art director for their music label, and I'm like, what? I don't know anything about art. And he's like, but your eye, man, I really like the eye, of the pictures that you take, and the way I see it through your eyes, and so that was my first, moment of, maybe there's something to this, and so I started pouring my energy into it, and I went from there. For my phone, I ended up buying a Canon T3i. Which was a great camera, and actually I don't have one sitting here, but I still have a T3 that I use occasionally, and it still performs wonderfully. As a starter camera, if you're somebody who's in the point where you're ready to buy a camera, you don't know what kind of camera to buy, any entry-level camera, buy it used. You don't need a brand new one. Buy it used. You can find various ones from any of the Canon T series. I personally recommend the ones that end in I. The I meaning that it has a flip out screen that you can rotate or whatever, and some of those have mic jacks for if you plan on doing any video with them or anything like that. But I love the fact that I can move my screen around and pop it out from the back of the camera. That's always very helpful. So that's something to consider. You can probably pick up a T3 now for just a couple $100. So I mean, what's preventing you? If you have a phone, just take them. Because I'm going to tell you, the secret to it becomes framing and your composition, and that's what I would work on: your framing and composition. How you frame it up, how you put your subject or whatever it is you're taking a photo of in your viewfinder or on your screen, and line it up, because we want it to be interesting for people to look at. But what I found is that I take pictures for how I see them. That was a lesson I learned early on. I was feeling unfulfilled for a while, and because I found myself, once I picked up a little bit of attention, that well, I'm going to take this picture. They're going to love this, or this picture. Oh yeah, click. They're going to like that. And I started taking pictures for how I thought people wanted me to take pictures. But what I failed to realize that until that moment is that people are wanting to see my pictures through my eyes, not necessarily through their eyes, through my lens. And that was a valuable lesson that I learned early on. And so I would encourage you, find your own style. Textbook is one thing. You can watch all the YouTube videos you want, and that's great. That's been a great tool of mine going through, but you have to put it into practice and then make your own adjustments, because art is in the eye of the beholder. And it changes for everybody, but it's how you see it is how we, the onlookers, really want to view it. So don't get caught up on too much on what other people are doing or what other great photographs have been out there, or what have you. Take them for how you see them, and let us see them through your eyes. So that's pretty much how that goes with that. And it's not a difficult thing. It's not an expensive hobby. Everything is digital today. all you really need is a phone, because even the camera that I'm using right now, I'm filming this with a Canon 90D, and I mean, it's fully Wi-Fi. I mean, I can send everything to my phone. I can edit from my phone. I can do all sorts of things, and we'll talk about different programs and things that I use for editing as we go along. But and as you'll see here, I'm actually going to show you some of the first photographs that I took using my iPhone. And you may or may not think they're great, but for me at the time, I was flexing my creativity a little bit, and so I can't wait to share some of the stories that go along with that. But the bottom line of the story for this episode is just going to be, look, if you have a passion for it, just get out there and do it. It doesn't matter. I don't care if it's landscape. I don't care if it's night photography or portraits or studio style, whatever. It can all be done with your phone. Now, I personally, I treat my phone like it's a tool, and there's times I use my phone, and there's times I'd rather use my camera, and it just kind of varies. You have to make up your own mind with that. But the best way to find out is to get out there and do it. I had a young photographer one time that we were sitting around talking, and she couldn't think about what she wanted to take pictures of. I'm like running out of ideas, and I'm like, and the thought hit me, how about as soon as it stops raining, go outside and find some things to take pictures of. And that's exactly what she did. And she took some amazing photographs that ended up in a gallery show, as a matter of fact. So you just never know what kind of opportunities are out there. So just use the tools that you've got and do the best you've got. And as a matter of fact, please, by all means, pictures that you take here, share them. Share them in the comments, share them on my page. I don't mind. I'd love to see them. And we'll go from there. And so this is going to conclude this week on my story, my introduction, and how I got into photography. And next time we'll talk a little bit about what keeps me there, why I do what I do, and I'll give you some examples, and we'll talk about some gear and how that works and how I set it up and go on from that. But again, thank you for joining me so much. And this is my story.